Chosen one, lock your attention on this message. That whisper telling you your efforts are unseen, that your integrity has been overlooked. Silence it now. I know the last 48 hours have felt like a direct assault on your reputation. It's not just quiet. It's like a mocking silence from those who questioned you. Maybe you were reviewing old conversations this morning, feeling that familiar sting of betrayal, wondering if you'll ever truly be vindicated. Or perhaps you woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning this week, burdened by the thought of what others are saying about you, feeling a deep, unexplained sorrow for being misunderstood. You feel like your honor has been called into question. The enemy is working overtime, deploying whispers and distractions for one reason only. He knows your honor is about to be seen. He knows God is preparing a table for you. Your season of being overlooked, of being slandered, it all ends in the next 24 hours. The confusion, the accusations, the unseen battles, they conclude. And here's the part you need to hear. It's not ending because of luck or a sudden change of heart from your accusers. It's ending because of what you've done in secret. Think back to that moment this week when you chose to respond with grace instead of retaliation. When you walked away from the argument you could have won. You felt weak. You felt unheard. You felt like you gave them permission to continue. You didn't know it then, but that specific act of humility, that decision to yield, was the very weapon that carved out your seat at the table God is preparing. You didn't give away your power. You stockpiled your glory. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. Divine orchestration did. This is a prophetic download, a direct transmission from the court of heaven, scheduled for this exact moment to align you with your vindication. In the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you the spiritual blueprint for the table God is setting before your enemies. I'm going to reveal the specific lie the enemy has planted about your honor and show you exactly how to dismantle it. And at the end, I'll give you the declaration that calls forth your public vindication and exposes your glory for all to see. Do not click away. Your future self, the one who is celebrated and seen, is commanding you to stay. If you leave now, you risk walking past the very moment God chose to restore your name. My name is Zerekiel. I've spent years studying the hidden patterns of the spirit realm, the warfare, the awakening, the weapons most people are never taught to use. And I've walked over 10,000 chosen ones through their moment of breakthrough. If this is your first time here, subscribe and hit the notification bell right now. Not because I need the numbers, but because the next message I release might be the one that was written specifically for the war you're fighting tomorrow. You feel suspended in a season where your worth feels contingent on external validation, like your sacrifices are invisible. And in this liminal space, the enemy has started whispering a very specific lie. Listen to your thoughts. He's telling you that your quiet integrity, your unseen battles, your refusal to boast, that this means you will never truly be recognized. He's replaying moments where others were promoted or praised, while your hard work went unnoticed. He's telling you that because you haven't fought for your honor, because you haven't defended your name, you've essentially disqualified yourself from the public table. He wants you to believe your glory is forever hidden. But I need you to hear what Psalm 23 verse 5 actually declares about this moment. It says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows." Listen to that promise. In the presence of my enemies. God isn't hiding you. He isn't making your enemies look away. He is deliberately setting a stage for your vindication. He is preparing a public display of your honor. The enemy wants you to think your unseen battles were wasted. But that's a deception. God saw every single one of them. The feeling of being overlooked, that heavy sense of injustice, is not a sign of God's absence. It's the sign of an impending revelation. It's not punishment for your silence. It's the tension before your glory is exposed. You're not starting over from a place of dishonor. You're concluding a chapter of hidden strength and walking into a public display of your worth. What you thought was your quiet suffering was actually God polishing your crown. Hit the like button if you feel this message arrived at the right time. Drop a comment below. What's one area of your life where you felt overlooked or unseen, but you know God is about to prepare a table for you? That feeling of being overlooked, that heavy sense of injustice, is not a sign of God's absence. It's a sign of an impending revelation. It's not punishment for your silence. It's the tension before your glory is exposed. You're not starting over from a place of dishonor. You're concluding a chapter of hidden strength and walking into a public display of your worth. What you thought was your quiet suffering was actually God polishing your crown. Hit the like button if you feel this message arrived at the right time. Drop a comment below. What's one area of your life where you felt overlooked or unseen, but you know God is about to prepare a table for you? Now, let's expose the unseen barrier that keeps most people from ever reaching that table, even when it's set right before them. It's not the enemy's whispers alone. It's the quiet agreement you've made with the lie of contingency. You've been subtly convinced that your honor, your worth, your very purpose is contingent upon someone else's recognition or validation. You believe that your internal value needs an external witness to become real. This is the oldest trap, whispered to souls like Job who, despite his blamelessness, felt the crushing weight of public scorn and the desperate need for his friends to understand. He craved their affirmation, not just God's, and that craving became a second layer of torment. You may be thinking, if only they knew the truth, then I could move forward. But that very thought is the spiritual chain binding you. What you just heard wasn't entertainment. It was confirmation. And if you're ready to go deeper, the Chosen One's mantle will show you exactly why God separated you before birth, why the attacks came so early, and what He's unlocking in this season, code by code, until you're walking the life He already wrote over you. The link is waiting in the first pinned comment, but not for long. The first step on this journey to true vindication begins with dismantling that lie of contingency. Your worth is not a public opinion poll. It is a divine decree. Your integrity doesn't gain or lose value based on who sees it or who slanders it. It simply is. This requires an internal shift. You must consciously decide to release the burden of needing others to see what God already affirms. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. His integrity wasn't debated by the lions, nor was his rescue dependent on their approval. It was a matter between him and heaven. But here's where it goes deeper. Once you release the need for external validation, you must then recognize the purpose of your wilderness. Your season of being overlooked was not a mistake. It was a sacred forge. It was in the hidden places that Moses learned patience and leadership, not in Pharaoh's palace. It was in the shepherd's fields that David gained the skill to fell giants, not in the king's court. Your hidden trials weren't designed to diminish you, but to distill you, to purify your motives and sharpen your spiritual senses. And this leads us to something most people miss entirely: the power of responsive silence in the face of accusation. When you choose not to defend yourself, when you resist the urge to correct every misunderstanding, you are not being weak. You are activating a higher law. You are transferring your case from the human court, which is flawed and biased, to the divine court, where every deed and every motive is weighed perfectly. Jesus stood silent before his accusers, not out of fear, but because he understood that his vindication would come from a source infinitely greater than Pilate's judgment. Coming up, the one thing most people avoid, but it's the key to everything. Now, once you understand that, you're ready for this. Your honor is not something you earn from man, but something you reflect from God. It's an inherent quality of your divine design. When you defend your honor, you inadvertently suggest it's been lost or can be taken. But the truth is, what God gives, no man can truly strip away. Your honor is not external. It is etched into your spirit, awaiting divine revelation. This brings us to the real turning point, the understanding that God's timing for revelation is always perfect, even when it feels agonizingly slow to you. You are not waiting for God to act. You are often waiting on God's timing, allowing Him to perfectly orchestrate the circumstances, the witnesses, and the precise moment when your truth will shine brightest. Joseph spent years in prison, suffering injustice. Yet it was precisely through those trials that he was perfectly positioned to save a nation and reveal God's hand. And what's coming next will likely surprise you. It always does. But let me challenge you with something. Many desire vindication, but few are willing to embrace the radical humility it often requires. This isn't just about being silent. It's about being okay with never being understood by those who slandered you. It's about finding peace in the absence of an apology or a public retraction from your detractors. True freedom isn't found in their repentance, but in your release of the need for it. And yet, there's something beneath even that. The truth is, sometimes the greatest barrier to your public vindication isn't the enemy or your accusers, or even your own impatience. It's the subtle, hidden identification with your suffering. You've become so accustomed to the narrative of being overlooked, of carrying the cross of misunderstanding, that it has become part of your identity. You subtly resist the shift into glory, because it means letting go of a familiar, albeit painful story. You might subconsciously believe that continuing to suffer silently makes you more righteous, or more deserving of a future reward. But if you're honest with yourself, that's not true humility. It's a form of spiritual inertia. It's the refusal to step into the next chapter God has written for you, because you're still reading the previous one. And the path to truly walking in your vindication requires you to shed the garments of past suffering and put on the robes of royal identity. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share next is the part that breaks the cycle. This leads us to the part you probably didn't expect, the ultimate confrontation. The deepest root of delay in your vindication isn't even the lie of contingency or the attachment to suffering. It is the hidden, unspoken fear that if you are truly glorified, you might become proud or lose your connection to God, or even become like the very people who hurt you. This fear, masked as spiritual caution or self-awareness, actually prevents you from fully embracing the divine honor God is bestowing. It's a subtle rebellion, a subconscious attempt to keep yourself small out of a misdirected sense of spiritual safety. And here's the final, unexpected revelation that changes everything. The purpose of the table God is preparing isn't just for your enemies to witness your vindication. It is for you to realize that the approval you truly craved was never theirs to give and never yours to earn. The table is a symbol that you are finally feeding from a source that sustains you regardless of who is watching or what they are saying. Your real vindication isn't about them seeing your glory. It's about you finally seeing and accepting your own, unshakable, divinely given worth. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I release every false label, every accusation, every burden of needing to be seen or understood by man. I release the lie that my worth is contingent on external validation. I break agreement with the narrative of my past suffering and the fear of my future glory. I step into my true identity, already sealed by heaven. I declare that my honor is not lost, but divinely revealed. I receive my vindication, not as a reward for my struggles, but as an inherent truth of who I am in God. I am seen, I am cherished, I am worthy, and I walk forward, knowing my table is set, my cup overflows, and my glory is a reflection of His light, not the opinion of man.